What's up, guys? It's your boy James, aka 68J, coming to you on this Thursday. And I'm super excited, guys, as it's 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, depends on where you are in the world. I got an extraordinary guest with me today. I am so excited, guys, because I've been following this guy for a while. He is phenomenal. He is a legend in what he does. He's very respected in this space. And he's graced me by being on the show, and I'm just a super fan of this guy. So let me give you a little bit of credentials about this amazing gentleman, Rob Cunningham. University of Georgia graduate, management information systems degree, USAF pilot for 7 years. Also flew for Delta for an additional 2 years. Merrill Lynch, Smith Barney, mortgage industry business owner for 22 plus years in consulting, planning, strategy, sales, recruiting, leadership. Need I say more? The one and only Rob Cunningham. How you doing, my friend?
Man, I am honored and blessed to be with you, brother. I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate you, man. It means a whole lot to me. So before we actually get started, normally what I do is I ask a question about your background. I want you to take a little bit of time doing that. Tell us who Rob is in its entirety, and then I'll get this out on some other social media platforms, and then we'll come back and get started with the questions. Is that okay?
Sure, man.
Okay, my brother. Your background.
All right. Born in South Georgia, a small little town called Tifton, Georgia, till we were 3, and then moved up to Metro Atlanta. Mama was a school teacher. Dad was a serial everything, high school dropout, 82nd Airborne, Army Ranger, officer candidate school, went and flew helicopters, went to flew OV-1 Mohawks, got out, did commercial real estate, went to chiropractic college, became a chiropractor, became a professor at a college in Georgia. Just a great, nuclear family, if you will, 2 brothers, 2 sisters, or I have 1 brother and 2 sisters. So it was 4 of us. Mama, school teacher. Always wanted to play football, loved football my whole life, went to bed, in 2nd grade with football on my head, on my arm every night,
Right.
I wanted to be a Dallas Cowboy.
That's my favorite team. That's my favorite team since I was 9 years old. Yeah.
Roger Staubach and all the boys back then. And, I did walk on and played for a couple of years at Georgia. Nice. I'd like to say I walked on and crawled off with a broken knee.
Wow.
Did Air Force ROTC, went in the Air Force, 7 years there, 2 years with Delta. Got hired with Delta in 91 and then furloughed in 93. I like to add that in so people don't think, crap, he must have got caught drinking and flying or something. He must have got fired.
There was a movie about that with like Denzel Washington drinking or something like that, right? It was like some kind of movie about a pilot, dude. That's funny. Yeah. That's funny.
But I was the honorary. I was one of 500 pilots that were the first 500 to ever be furloughed in the history of Delta Airlines. So
wow.
At the time, I thought, oh God, my life's over. I've been doing this. I'm in the NFL of aviation, and now I'm unemployed.
Right.
Oh God, what am I going to do? So, God's got a plan. I always have a plan, So reinvented myself, decided to go to Merrill Lynch, got all those licenses and training. And 2 years later, I was like their top out of 14,000 financial consultants. I'd focused in on the mortgage banking space. They had a new exotic product for high net worth individuals. And boom, I just blew that product up across the country. And went and joined that mortgage company. And then, I met my wife. Would not have our beautiful daughters, would not have met my wife, would not have had a new career in the financial services industry had I not been furloughed. Right. So
makes
one
sense.
door closes, another door opens.
That's right. And, awesome.
And so then my wife and I both just had a love for training and business development and teaching and being the absolute best at our game. And we built a company based on a book called The Marine Corps Way.
Okay.
And the Marine Corps Way general philosophy is you can't make general officer corps in the Marines unless you've had 2 successful tours of duty and recruiting.
Wow.
And they put their absolute best on the front line.
Okay.
Not the guys that eat 6 donuts a day, you know, and all this trouble and
Right,
can't get
right.
a job anywhere. They put their badass chiseled, you know, specimens
Right.
out in the strip center in Fayetteville, Arkansas,
Right.
because like attracts like.
That's right. Right.
That's who you want to come in, the few,
Absolutely.
the 12, the Marines.
That's right.
So
That's right.
recruiting was so important. So we knew that sales training, you can't get a Cessna 150 pilot to train an F-15 pilot.
Right. Makes sense.
You got to have you got to have an equal peer respect.
Right.
So if you want to create top salespeople and top leaders and just badasses in sales of the Marine Corps or in aviation, you need to put the best out front to train them, to make them. So that was our philosophy for 22 years. You know, we taught how to build badass mortgage bankers, leaders, recruiters, CEOs, visionaries, recruiters, and that just gave me and my wife a blessed opportunity to work with over 1,000 companies in all 50 states, and really get to see the inside of what makes companies average or great or terrible.
Awesome. I love it. I love it, man. Well, you've got an impressive background. I've always wanted to know what it felt like to fly, you know, a plane in general, but I mean, you've taken that to another level, and hats off. And by the way, thank you for all you've done for this country. By the way, I always have to pay my homage and respect to those who protected this great land that we live in. So with that being said, you know, obviously knowing about your background and obviously knowing that you're very brilliant in what you've done, what attracted you to crypto and why? With all the things you've done, why crypto?
It's a great question. Lockdown, February, started studying. Nothing made sense.
Right.
I heard the letters XRP, and it intrigued me. And I immediately, in March of 2020, from the time I heard about it to the time I started jumping into every rabbit hole possible to looking at it and understanding it.
Wow.
I would say, Jay, probably within 2 hours, maybe not even an hour and a half of me going to ripple.com, looking at the website, you know, looking at this fishnet stocking all around the earth.
Yeah.
Talking about this distributed ledger technology and ability to convey value like you could convey a text message.
Right.
It just, I mean, it immediately resonated in my soul. I knew the technology was possible, the need was there, the cost efficiency was there. I saw it as a pivotal moment that this not only is necessary, it can't be stopped, and I want to have a piece of it.
Well, that's different, Rob. And I don't mean to cut you off, but you might be the first guy that said he recognized XRP from the back, because normally people say, "Oh, I heard of this Bitcoin thing," and then as they started researching and looking for value or quality, you know, assets, they found XRP. You might be one of the only guys that I've heard of that, or I can recollect that just automatically. How did XRP come across your table, if you don't mind me asking?
A Charlie Ward video.
Wow.
How about that? Just, you know, lockdown, not traveling, not going anywhere, had to shut down our office, you know, all that kind of stuff going on. And people just start talking. You got circles of, hey, have you seen this? Listen to this. All of a sudden the link sharing starts going, right? And everybody's just kind of in a huddle, and we're in a scrum, and here this guy comes and goes, you got to hear about this, you know? So there was, and I think he had like Brown Brothers Crypto or some guy from England that was a guest, and he was talking about the concepts, and that's where I first heard it. I was just to give you an idea, from the time I heard it to the time I went to a website to the time I started trying to do some research to saying, not only do I have to buy Ripple, but I don't know how, and I have to own XRP. I figured out how to own both. I sent an email to Joe Indoso, who's now the president of Link2.
Okay.
And I was one of the first 30 customers at Link2 to open up an account and buy Ripple, the SPV Ripple from Link2.
Wow, that's amazing. Now when you discovered this mind-blowing opportunity, because I'm sure, like, I know what it was for me, like being in business all my life. I was taught, first of all, I wasn't taught business. I was taught to go out there and get a job and build someone else's dream and go get an education. That's what I was taught.
Right.
And then I started asking questions and became an entrepreneur. But I was literally blown away, mortified, if you will, when I found digital assets. When I was like, what is this? Like, and I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, the only thing I could think, honestly, Rob, is I just felt like I wasted so much of my business life, at least from the time that it came out. I was like, why didn't someone tell me about this in 08, 09? My God. And that's the first thought I think comes to most people's mind. But once I grasped it, it was unreal. It was surreal, to be honest with you. I felt like, and the thing that here we are from 17 till today, I'm still as excited as a kid in a candy store, because you're always learning. It's so much information that, like, every day is something, like, if me and you talk about things, and then all of a sudden it's like every day something changes. There's never a dull moment. And then, one of the things I always talk about, and I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, is about like not liking bullying. And when I used to do my motivational speaking, I used to go to schools, and I actually spoke at the National YMCA convention to children about that as well. And I say that because, I felt up to this point we've been bullied, and I don't mean us individually. And I'm not just a particular, like, only an XRP guy. I'm diversified, even though XRP is one of my bigger positions. Mm-hmm. It's one of those things that I almost feel here in the last 24 hours, 48 hours, I feel a little bit, I wouldn't say satisfied, but just vindicated to an extent to hear that, maybe ETH has to have their day in court, because up to this point, you just hate to see someone bully someone and get away with it. And that's pretty much how I felt up until this point. And so your take on the latest news, and I know it's probably getting off track of my questions a little bit, because number 2 was ask you what attracted you to XRP. You already told me that. So let's kind of change it up and go that direction. How is your mindset or your feelings in the last 48 hours hearing that the SEC is going after ETH? And do you think it's because they've gotten pressure to do that, or do you think it's just some crazy strategy? What's your take on that?
Yeah, great question. I think we've gotten past the tipping point where they have to respond. They can no longer. I had Stephen Arioff on my program, which was just an amazing blessing and opportunity. And we had a good discussion last week. And the evidence of who's involved, okay? Why the bullying seems like it's been bullying, it's because the other team is stacked with JP Morgan, the Swiss-based Ethereum Foundation,
right?
Okay, Vitalik Buterin, Consensus and Joseph Lubin, the SEC, and the Chinese Communist Party. Mm-hmm. Other than that, I can't imagine why the cat has the media's tongue, and they won't either speak favorably about XRP or give us the time of day, or they'll just dox us, silence us, mock us, ridicule us, or ignore us.
Right.
You know? And so now it is, when you really begin to think about it, the next gen monetary system, that's what we're talking about, the architecture, right? The assets, the settlement, the transparency, the accounting, the tokenization. We're talking about the next gen monetary system. So the incumbents are going to bully the absolute hell out of those that they believe are the biggest risk.
That's right.
To their monopoly.
Right.
And they ain't picking on Ether.
Oh, they're not going after Doge or Shiba.
Bitcoin, right? So are they not, by their actions, announcing who they're the most scared of?
Right. Absolutely. That's
what bullies do.
Yeah, that's what bullies do. And like I said, I was saying this earlier. I did a stream earlier today. When they went after XRP, and I always go after it, and I don't know if you ever heard me use this analogy, but it's like the Olympics in the 80s. There was this amazing skater. Her name was Nancy Kerrigan, and Tanya Harding went and hired a thug to hit her in the ankles like it was a mugging, to keep her from starting at the head position. And I feel like that's exactly what happened. They knew what XRP did. They knew what it solved. They knew they've tested it. They actually wanted to control it, as some say. And so I feel like it was that whole Nancy Kerrigan, Tanya Hardy deal where they just hit, Rip on the ankle, put them through all the stuff. And sometimes I try not to ever really get too much into politics or religion, but sometimes things turn out to be a bigger blessing than we know, because the fact that they came after Ripple the way it did, yeah, it hurt the ecosystem, it hurt the people that were involved. But the fact that now we're coming to an end, that we're not only have we been victorious in the last three major things when it comes to SEC, but we're coming to an end. And one of the things I remember Gary Gensler saying, he says, just because XRP may or may not win their case doesn't mean everyone else is clear. And so we're starting to see that now, and it's just weird how I think it was today I was on X and I was looking at all these people that are saying, we need to stand up. We need to stand up together. So we fight the SEC against Ethereum. It's like, and then DAI was like, he was digital asset investor. He was like, well, where was all this when they were going after Ripple? How come we didn't have that with XRP? Where was that coming together when they were going after XRP? And so yeah, it's just crazy. How it's all coming, kind of coming full circle now. And you hate to say what comes around goes around, but in many, and the point I'm making to that is that you had this really clean, this company that did everything the right way, as far as what they knew the right way was, because they tried to get regulatory clarity for the things that maybe they weren't too sure about, but they still did things the right way. They're first class. They got a bunch of integrity. And then, obviously it cost them $200 million and so many years later, but then you got this other company called ETH that's done everything the wrong way, from ICOs to Steven Nero saying, hey, I just gave them the million Ethereum back. I didn't even want it after I found out what they were doing. I've warned them. I've got recordings. I've got documentation. So what is your take on the differences? Because I see a huge difference between a clean company full of integrity that was just bullied on and a company that's full of corruption, and it leads back to Wayne Chang, Prometheum, China, SEC, Jay Clayton getting checks and all this different stuff, agendas, corruption. And I just don't think it's going to be that easy of a story to sweep under the rug or to even win, because once you open that can of worms, it's open. Your thoughts on that?
Think about, you've got the DOJ and you got the FBI and you have the SEC. 2 years after, basically, the majority of people walked away from Vitalik Buterin because it was just proof of concept. It wasn't going anywhere. Right. Everybody kind of scatters off into the four corners. Right. Vitalik goes, I think I'll go to China and learn Mandarin for 2 years.
Yeah. Okay? Yeah.
2 years after he does that, he's coming back and forth. He's studying Mandarin, on Steven Nerov's dining room table.
Right. Right.
But he's telling the world, I'm an acquaintance with him. I've run into him a couple of times. He slept on his couch and went back and forth when they worked together. Okay. Right. But 2 years after this is merely a fledgling, almost insolvent proof of concept.
Right.
At 5 o'clock in the morning, 17 FBI agents come in with guns drawn on Steven Nerov, put the gun in his face, rip him out of bed in front of his kids and family, throw him in the back of the van and say, spill your guts on all these OGs in the industry or you'll never see your kids again.
Wow.
Now, why would the most powerful banking, legal, and government agents on earth go after a 2 year removed consultant to an industry that is almost insolvent and manufacture evidence? The SEC had like over 1.5 terabytes or some ridiculous, I don't know how much information. They're a regulatory body. They're not a criminal prosecutory agency.
Exactly.
They're just a regulatory body, but he had emails, calendars, Zoom call recordings, video recordings,
everything.
Calls, everything. When you have a prosecutorial success rate of 99.7% of the FBI and the DOJ, you don't normally drop a case against somebody unless they have you dead to rights.
Right.
Okay. Right. So why would the most powerful agents in the world want to take down a single individual who, by his own admission to me, he said, Rob, I don't think I even have a point on my driving record. You talk about a guy that's a Boy Scout without any background or blemishes or run-ins with the law.
Right.
And the most powerful forces, and hear me clearly, these guys were dispatched to do this. They didn't do this on their own. This wasn't an organic meeting of the minds and let's just go after. Trust me, the ones that are printing the money and running the monetary system are the ones that decided this guy's a threat and a risk. Get him.
I know. I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. And that's the question we all want answers to. And one of the things that I love, if you got this guy, which is my next question, who's running for Senate, who before even running for Senate, sat down, met with Stephen and validated everything he claimed he had. And I think that was real big. John, he actually went on to his crypto law show and said, look, I sat down with the guy. I listened to some of the recordings. I looked at the documents. This guy's the real deal. And, a lot of people kind of looked at Stephen like, oh, you must just be, maybe they kicked you out. Maybe this and that, maybe you're bitter, but what do you do when someone embarrasses you like that in front of your family, throws you in a van, and you didn't do anything wrong? As a matter of fact, you were trying to warn those guys what not to do, is what he said. And then you look at people like you, it starts making you question, why did Dr. Gavin Wood leave after all? Who started Polkadot? Why did Charles Hopkinson leave to go start, ADA? And if you don't think, I know they've done some subpoenas out right now, but I think there's dozens of subpoenas that go out, and I wouldn't be shocked if they start going all the way to the very beginning and start questioning these guys who are even no longer affiliated with Ethereum now, like Woods, like Charles, and like many others. So so that's my opinion on it. I think, like I said, I think this is going to go deep, long. What does it mean? And we're not sitting here saying we want something to happen to those who invested in ETH. Even Stephen Nerov, as humble as he is, he says, look, this is not about hurting the people who invested in ETH. This is about the truth. This is about the truth. This is about making sure everyone, is fairly treated. And everyone has to answer the same set of rules. They shouldn't have a free pass. And so that's really what it's all about. But the next question I want to ask you, since I kind of brought that up, is John Deaton. Why is it important for him to run for Senate? And to me, it's win or lose. I just think it's a phenomenal thing for crypto. And I want to just say XRP, but crypto as a whole. Your feelings on that?
Well, I want to go back and to give you an idea. Early 2020 is when I got involved, and then they dropped the lawsuit in December of 2020. Mm-hmm. Of course, our initial reaction is A, this is crap, and B, what a windfall. Back up the truck, right? And so I backed up the truck. And then John Deaton comes around with a class action lawsuit. And in within 30 days, you go to my Rumble channel on Cool Show, I interviewed John.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Through Link to, because he was the VIP guest on the Link to Apollo members call, and John came in. I got to ask him some questions. So it's 5, 6, 8 minutes. It's not that big, but look, what I love about John is he personifies everything that representative government should be about.
Right.
Okay. Integrity, courage. He's real.
Right.
He's not looking for a career in politics.
That's right.
I believe he was called to duty. Okay. And he's standing up and he's answering the call. John's a man's man. Okay. Right. I've talked to him several times. I met him at the first XRP Vegas conference, got to meet his daughter who's there with him. He's a family man. I have nothing but respect for John Deaton.
Right.
Okay. And to attach John Deaton's character and his honor and his brand to the principles of DLT and the blockchain and stable coins and the digital asset crypto ecosystem.
Right.
This isn't about XRP and Ripple per se. It's about a financed radical like Senator Warren, who wants to go an anti-crypto army.
That's right.
You want a dead loser of a political position?
Right.
Go against the cryptocurrency digital asset space and try to fight against it.
Right.
Well, and so this is what I love, I think, more than anything. John's going to end up being a hero in his own right, because any politician in any of the 50 states that take the opposite position of John Deaton are, in essence, insulting a Marine, an attorney, and a public service, and a man of character that knows what he's doing. He personally financed, to not make any money on his own, this class action lawsuit against the SEC, the largest class action we the people lawsuit against a regulatory body ever.
Right.
And self-funded. He did it himself. He's not taking a dime for it. So I believe John is like a case study politician that Anybody running for office in any state in the nation can say, are you calling John Deaton a liar?
Right.
You're taking the opposite position of this man.
Right.
And then they can take that to the voters and let the voters decide who's right and who's wrong.
Yeah, I agree with you wholeheartedly. Incredible guy. I love his story. There's so much we have in common. I really think he represents the embodiment of people, the people, and the fact that, what is crypto created for? What is to me, the definition of this opportunity, which is to me one of the greatest, could be one of the greatest transfers of wealth, and obviously one of the fairest forms of capitalism that I've ever seen, where it's not predicated off your size, your height, your singing skills, your looks. It's just predicated off of being in the right place at the right time, doing your research, doing your due diligence, and grabbing this opportunity by the horns. And I always say crypto to me is an opportunity for people to dream again. There's so many of us, obviously you've been very fortunate in your life. I've been very fortunate in my life, but for a lot of people who maybe kids came a little early, they had mortgages, they had this, they had responsibilities, whatever, maybe mom was sick, that whatever it was, sometimes those things get in the way and you just stop dreaming. And to me, it just allows the average person to dream big. And all the American people want, man, is just to have a country that love us enough, respects us enough to allow us to flourish. And instead, we have a country that, and I don't mean this as far as a race, but just as all people, all American people, all people. I say America because obviously crypto is worldwide, but here in America, I just feel like this is financial slavery 101. They want to keep people in position where they keep busting their butts to do just enough not to get fired. They pay us just enough not to quit, and then you bust your butt until you get old, and then you try to retire on a percentage of what barely got you by in the first place. And so they love that little matrix that we're in. And as soon as they find something that challenges that, then obviously they show their true colors. And I just think that's what it's all about: control. So with that being said, I'm going to ask you a question that's a little bit, facetious, I guess, in so many ways, or I know the answer to it, but I need to get your perspective. Ripple. Is it a solid company to you, and why?
Oh man, it's just, I love this question, because again, I want to frame the context of my answer. Okay. With over 22 years of consulting, selling, and building curriculum for major companies across all 50 states. I mean, I can comfortably say, this is an ego thing. It's just, I've been an eyewitness to a lot. Okay. I've seen a lot of I've witnessed the good, the bad, and the ugly, and everything in between. And this is what I have discerned out of all of my, I guess, acquired wisdom in the consulting business. And that is, culture is destiny.
Right.
Okay. And leaders own the culture. It cannot be outsourced, period. So everything that I see about every associate on television, on podcast, at a conference, at a Ripple Swell event, wherever it happens to be, on television, on a pipe, whatever, I see poise, class, dignity, professionalism, humility.
That's right.
I see a mission-focused, positive, professional, and without a doubt, I see the leaders unflummoxed.
That's right.
You can't shake them.
No.
You can talk trash to these guys all day long. You don't have the hubris. You don't have the arrogance. You don't have the cockiness. You don't have the anger. You have, this is a company with 1,000+ customers, 1,000+ employees. I think I heard Digital Perspective say today something like 1,700 options agreements.
Wow.
To implement and execute and acquire,
right.
Out of the escrow. Hold on just one second. A little screen pop up here. So throughout this entire time of bullying, lawfare, I would say illegality, collusion,
right.
And you could make a very strong case, Jay, for treason.
Yeah. For sure.
You cannot have the largest partner in the Federal Reserve banking system, JP Morgan, involved with Ethereum, a Swiss company, before the mainnet was launched, with the mainnet being launched by a CCP partner, Wangchang Enterprises in China. And you've got JP Morgan and Vitalik Buterin and all of these entities working with the SEC to give a free pass to Ethereum, the #2 crypto project in the world, and not think that there's ulterior motives that aren't putting Americans' interest first.
I like the word that you used, which was treason, because if that was your company or my company, we would have both been thrown in the back of a van.
Yeah. And we wouldn't have gotten off the charges.
No, not at all.
No.
Not when you look at all the connections to China, and there's not a chance in heck. No, not at all.
No. And so during all of this ordeal, you got a company that has stayed between, it got to #2. It passed Ethereum at one time. It's dropped as low as 7. It's at 6 today. Right. It has stayed between 2 and 7 in the world, in spite of the lawfare, the character assassination, the malignant actions of the journalist Fruition, if you will. Everything that they've done, I'm just going to say that only an exceptional company with exceptional leadership an exceptional vision could have endured what it's endured. And the evidence, who they are, speaks so loudly. They don't need to hear me give them praise.
That's right.
They're walking the walk, brother.
And I'll add one more to that: an exceptional plan. Because during the time where everyone was running, when Bitcoin went from 69,000 down to 15 or 16, whatever it was, everyone was running, everyone was firing. There was layoffs like crazy. There were scandals. There were bank runs. The only company that I heard of personally that was expanding, acquiring, hiring some of the greatest talents around the world was Ripple. While going through all those, harsh things from the SEC, from everybody, they just stayed the course. And that to me just speaks volume. They always say it's the things that you do when no one's looking. What about the things that you do when everyone's looking? And so it's definitely speaks volumes to who they are, the professionalism, the integrity, all those things above. And so, coming from a business background and understanding business and what I look for when I'm trying to determine if I'm a partner with a business, even outside of crypto, they check all the boxes. They check all the boxes.
All of them. Yeah.
All of them. And then some. So, no, definitely that. So next question would be, where do you see, and this is a two-part question, so we'll go with the first part. Where do you see XRP in the short term and in the long term? Because you got so many people that are crying out this and crying out that as far as price predictions. I don't know if you saw my clip on what I thought. Have you ever saw that clip that DAI shared? It was just that I spoke on what I thought as far as the most people missing the boat. Did you see that?
I don't think I did. I'm sorry, brother.
Yeah, no problem at all. I'm gonna put it on real quick, and then I want you to answer that question. So let me share this real quick. It's a clip that I have on the front of my page here. I want you to hear it, and then I'm gonna ask that question. So here's my minute and 24 seconds that I responded to Edo asking me that question. $10 XRP will change most people's lives, and I agree with that wholeheartedly. But I also agree it's going to probably be one of the biggest regrets that people made, because again, if Valal Capital, who said a possibility of a $25,000 to $35,000 XRP by 2030, let's say they're 10% right. That's $2,500 to $3,500. Let's say they're 1% right. That's $250 to $350. Okay, screw them. Forget that. I mean, screw them, but forget that analogy. Let's go with Ripple itself. XRP, in order to work the way it has to globally, has to be at least $10,000. Okay, let's say they're 10% right. That's $1,000. Okay, let's say they're 1% right. That's $100. So my whole thing is, I think a lot of people are going to miss the 1% potential at $5 or $10, maybe $20. I think that's where people just have to have a solid plan, because I mean, $10 million isn't what it used to be back in the day. And again, that's not financial advice. I'm just saying people have to be smart. Everyone's going to have different levels. A $10 XRP changes a lot of people's lives. $100,000 changes a lot. So I'm not trying to dismiss that. All I'm saying is you should have levels of where you're cashing out. You have strategic levels of where you're cashing out, and I wouldn't go all out at a certain dollar. Again, that's not financial advice, but man, I don't know what's greater, to get $10 or to live with a life full of regretment if it potentially hits 100 or 1,000 or 10,000 or anything else that they're saying. It'd be crazy. Between all of us here, the stocks of Pepto-Bismol are going to go up because you're going to have a lot of sick people that missed the boat. So I'll go back to my question. I'll go back to my question. XRP, short term, long term. Your thoughts?
Short term, I don't give two damns. Okay.
Exactly.
Really, in the short term, all I do is let it go hit 53 or 52, or let them take Trump Tower and go to 38, and I'll buy a gazillion more. Okay. You know, I mean, the point in the short term, it's almost a Rorschach test, right? In the short run, if it dips and we don't buy it, shame on us. It almost we fail the exam. Look, in the short run, this is what I truly believe is going to happen. In the short run, we're going to see settlement with the SEC. We're going to see legislative clarity very fast, very fast. We're going to see adoption, because now the boardrooms, the Fortune 500, the Fortune 1000 companies are going to go, okay, all of the political correctness is, you know, blockades are out of the way. Now we can adopt it, you know, and then that is going to lead to a global FOMO boom. Because again, people need to understand this, Jay. Look, America is about 3% of the GDP, right? We're about 23% of the population. And about 50% of all the financial transactions in the world happen here. So if you've got a lead pipe in the bicycle of Ripple, and that's the main architectural engine of kind of the backbone, if you will, the Amazon that connects all the treasuries and financial institutions and major banks and major, you know, corporations, 1,000+ and growing companies around the world, and the SEC and the Federal Reserve and the DOJ have got a bat in the bicycle wheel. When they pull that bat out, shit, I don't want to not be on that train.
That's right.
You know,
I agree.
I don't want to be. So I say this all the time. Information. And if you want information, you can go out there and find about 14 million hours of information on YouTube, you know, all the different social media channels. Information without context is just noise.
That's right. Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So you have to put it in context. What does this mean? This is the best way I can sum it up for people. You're talking about cross-border payments, all the money in the world, okay, moving around. You're talking about tokenization of everything. Everything. Derivatives, real estate, bonds, cars, insurance policies, stocks. Everything that exists today and will exist in the future. Everything. Okay. We're talking about infinite development. We are the creator created creative creators.
That's right.
There is no limit to the creativity that we as mankind in the next 5, 10, or 510 years is going to develop and grow this ecosystem, this digital ones and zeros software ecosystem. And that value is going to have to be transported somehow.
I agree.
Okay.
I agree.
So think about the velocity. You know, the velocity is like, if you got all the money in the world, you spend it once, that's the velocity of one. If I get it, and then I pay you for a haircut, and you pay the groundskeeper to mow your grass, and then they pay the pizza man, you know, that's a velocity of 5. Okay. Because the money moved around. We're about to have 24/7, 365 velocity of all the value in the world tokenized in the next 10 years.
That's right.
You can't we can't get our brains around the velocity of value that is going to mushroom cloud like a nuclear bomb, and 24/7, 365 start churning over the railroad tracks called the XRP Ledger and RippleNet.
I agree.
So what is that value? What is the value of all of that? The transportation, gross transportation value of all of that activity going across a blockchain like the XRPL that's got scale, that's got low cost, that's got security, that's got speed, that's got the patented XRP token. I don't care what they get 5% of the traffic, what they get 10% of the traffic, what they get 50% of the traffic. I can't even begin to put the numbers in a calculator to do this vision justice. To tell you what the price of XRP could be. Okay. if Ethereum with no use case and no DApp and no utility and extremely high fees can go from $1 to 3,200.
Yeah, exactly.
What the hell is
Yeah.
Utility is everything.
And then people are going to ask the question, why? Why has Ethereum? Why has Solana? Why? Well, because those are all microwavable results. Those are all 100-yard dashes. When you look at what Ripple solves and what they're doing, it's a marathon, because when you're changing the way people are moving money, you're talking about the financial system. That's not an overnight thing. That's something that takes time. But if people really understand what it is going to do, then you'll understand the bigger picture. I think people are so caught up in the fast, Rob. They want the fast. They want the quick. They want the monkey NFT that goes from $100 to 100,000 and back down to $20. Whatever the case may be.
Instant gratification.
Instant gratification.
They want the Twitter effect, right? The microwavable food in 3 minutes and let's eat. And look, you're to that point. Jay, thoughts on the people that are frustrated with XRP? Again, perspective is everything.
Right.
But let's put some timeline to this, okay? There's 100+ year head start for the incumbent.
Right.
Okay, 1913. Let's just start there. 110, 111 years ago. Okay. We're talking about dislodging a global 8% money cartel, 8% payment cartel.
Right.
Okay. That's the estimates writ large all the way around the world. We talk payments, ACH, payroll, credit card swipes, wire transfers, however we move money from point A to point B, right. The general averages are somewhere around 8%.
Right.
Okay. And Ripple can do it for less than a penny for just about any size. I mean, you're talking about going from Blockbuster to Netflix 9.0.
That's right. That's right.
Okay. So think about what Ripple's doing. They're dislodging this 110-year incumbent, this global 8% payment monopoly.
That's right.
Okay. They've architected an internet of truth. That's what XRP Ledger is. Right. And for your audience, just as a reminder, the XRP Ledger is open source. It's held as deemed a public good, held in a public trust with open source software that anyone in the world can use for free.
Right.
Okay. RippleNet is a derivative of the XRP Ledger, just like Red Hat was a derivative of Linux.
Right.
Okay. But that being said, the core base layer is XRPL, and it's open source, it's low cost, it's proven, and it's accessible to anyone, and it's a public utility, which means it's not owned by an NGO, it's not owned by the United Nations, it's not owned by America, the EU, China, Russia. It's a public good for the world.
That's right.
Okay, that's so important to know. So we're moving away from an 8% money monopoly, and Ripple architected a vision for this internet of truth, a blockchain accounting atop. Think about this: 109. Let's just say it's 195 countries around the world. These political organizations were overlaying an internet of truth and transparency and accountability over 195 different cultures, built on politics, which is built on lies and BS.
Right.
And self-dealing and corruption and feather bedding and ulterior motives. Okay. So to operate in the shadows, these systems are designed with all these perks and fat and friction and fraud as normal business. Ripple decided, you know what? That's the problem we're going to go after. That's the mountain we're going to climb.
That's right.
That's what we're going to fix.
Right.
That we're going to offer a clear, transparent, stateless, low cost, safe, fair, and level playing field for 8 billion people. That's no easy task.
Not at all.
Yeah, but why isn't it done yesterday? I wanted it done by Christmas.
Right. That's right. Right. That's right. No, you're right.
Well, guess what? Not your plan, not your timing.
So funny, Rob. One of the things that I used to get confused with, and I think I kind of figured it out myself, and it was one of the questions: why do people get so frustrated with XRP? And the only thing I could come up with and assess is I had to kind of dumb it down a little bit. And it was right there in front of my face the whole time. Not everyone understands good business. Not everyone's a business person. Most people are used to the scratcher, lottery ticket, casino mindset.
Yeah.
You know, it has to be quick, fast, and instant. I either won big or I'm back to my reality. And I think that's the problem. That's why people, in my opinion, are griping and moaning, because they just don't understand truly what they hold. And I think that once all these things, you know, come into fruition, once they have clarity, once they, and I mean clarity to the extent of the SEC, this lawsuit, I think many people's exit strategy, in my opinion, is going to be, just like I said in a video, $5 to $10.
Way too early.
Yeah, way too early. But the majority of people are going to get out because they're so frustrated that they got it at $2 or $3 or $1.50, whatever it is, or they're gonna be so excited because they were able to go buy that home or whatever the case may be, and then they're gonna just miss the boat. That's really what I meant with that Pepto-Bismol analogy. It was just being, you know, funny and sarcastic at the same time, of saying people are going to be sick because, you know, they say in most people's lives they miss one or two life-altering opportunities, and I think this is a granddaddy of all of them.
Yeah,
and I just think most people are going to miss it, and that's why people, in my opinion, will be out. And when you look at the brilliance of Ripple, Brad Garlinghouse, Stuart Alderetti, Chris Larson, these guys, and Joe Katz, when Brad says something like "flip of the switch," when Rosie Rios puts her reputation on the line and says the train has left the station, it's because of things that they know that we don't know. That's a comment. When I heard that, I said, that's a comment about something they know. They can't really, I mean, you can say that and hope that the brilliant people who understand business know what you mean. And then when he says flip of the switch, it just makes me realize that it's not about retail. It's not about the SEC's lawsuit. It's about that institutional doctrine. When that happens, it's going to be like, yeah, maybe we see $2, $3, $4, $5, $10, you know, with all this, you know, stuff going in the favor of XRP. But that flip of the light switch moment, to me, is when it's being utilized for what it was created for. And I love when I hear Brad say, he says, you know, what we used to be and what people think of us in the past was like people used to look at Amazon as books. It's so much more than that, and so are we. And so yeah, your take on that, or your assessment on that.
Brother, if you go back and look, it was 10 years. Amazon went to like $100 and down to $2. It lost 98%. And for 10 years, they architected a network with losses.
That's right.
Or a Kindle.
Right. Right. I remember that thing, black and white.
A black and white Kindle with e-paper. Right?
That's right.
Digital screen. And for 10 years, people laughed at it, looked at it. And now Amazon is everything.
Everything.
The architecture of the internet of value that is going to move any. I think people don't really understand what tokenization is. I like to compare Bitcoin to XRP in this manner. Okay. The Bitcoin maxis seem to want, there's almost a cult of loving the token itself, the asset Bitcoin, thinking that Bitcoin is liquid gold. It's the new monetary system. It's the cure for everything. Okay.
Right.
And they make Bitcoin the star. Okay. What they're missing is that we're making the protocol that XRP brings to the table the star. We're making the fact that Bitcoin is an asset. XRP is a co-pilot to all the assets.
Right.
It brings and transports and helps facilitate. It becomes a co-star of all the assets and all the money in the world. Bitcoin wants to be the star.
Most people don't get what you just said.
XRP wants to be the co-star of everything.
That's right.
Because it's almost an abundance mentality. If I give and I serve you, Jay, to the best of my ability, no matter if I'm selling you a car, selling you a mortgage, selling you an airplane, it doesn't matter. If I give and serve and go beyond everything that I have, the law of reciprocity says if you give without any expectations of return, you're going to be blessed tenfold more in return.
Right.
You don't know when and how. There's not a contract. You don't sign a document for that. You just keep giving and you keep serving and you keep busting your butt and staying late and working early, and you do all those things. Your reputation is going to grow. You're going to become the biggest producer in the company. Referrals are going to fall out of the sky. And people are going to go, look how lucky Jay is.
That's right. That's right. Yes, there's a difference between wanting to be the almighty and wanting to make everyone else great.
Right. And XRP and the infrastructure makes all the other tokenized assets, NFTs, smart contracts, currencies, derivatives, stuff, you name it. It connects on a level playing field, 8 billion people, and it makes the asset that it's transferring the star,
That's
not
right.
XRP the star.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's the way.
It's the way. It's the monetary way. That's
Right.
for damn sure. You know?
That's right. That's right. No, I agree with you. Shifting to a different direction, Fruition Productions and what they're trying to do with this documentary and telling the story of ETHgate, which I just think is brilliant because they're just finalizing. I got to know Chris and Maya very well. Can call them my friends now. They're going to be coming out here to Vegas and filming at a get together we're going to be doing with the XRP backs called the Moon Party. But these guys said they're finalizing, just finishing up everything with the documentary. I mean, and the fact that they're doing that as we go into, because it goes from this documentary about this thing that could be looked at as a conspiracy theory to this thing that's now being actually talked about and is real with this lawsuit that SEC just filed. So it's like perfect timing. And then obviously XRP Unleashed. It's just amazing how things just come full circle. What do you think? Or do you think that documentary is going to be important? And if so, why?
I don't even think we can begin to estimate how important it's going to be, because I know I got to speak with Chris and Maya last week. They were on with me and Stephen Narioff.
Right.
Brilliant people,
Very
good people.
Yep.
Genuinely honest people. And what I love about what they're doing is they are telling, I think, one of the most powerful stories in world history.
Right.
We're watching, Jay, the fall of an empire right now.
I agree.
We are watching in living color, in plain sight,
in real time,
an insolvent monarchy, if you will, a dynasty collapse.
Yeah.
And behind the collapse is going to be a redistribution of the wealth to the creators that created it and rightfully own it, instead of those that hoarded it and collected it and owned 90% of it.
Right.
Okay. Fruition Productions is allowing everyday people, the John Deatons, the Echo DeTruce, the Coach JV, you.
That's right.
Jimmy Valley, Zach Rector, DAI and Digital Perspective, the knuckleheads, the conspiracies, the outcasts, the laughed out, the non-elites.
Right.
Okay. Everyday people, truth seekers that just want to know the truth.
That's it.
Are going to get to tell one of the greatest stories in human history to their fellow man.
That's right.
At a time that corporate media is collapsing in the toilet with credibility. And so where are the people going to turn when they go, wait a minute, why didn't I know this? Why didn't they tell? Who was it that held this truth back from me? Who was it that was selling me all the snake oil?
Right.
And ignoring what was really taking place in the world. And here Fruition Productions is going to say Exhibit A.
Right.
And I think knowing the quality of their work, knowing the guests that they have, where they're shooting in the old Batman movie theaters out in Hollywood. I mean, all that kind of stuff.
Right.
It is going to be, it's going to be a time capsule movie for the ages.
I agree with you. And, it's funny because you could build the greatest, highest, biggest building ever, fast, quick, and everyone's excited along the way. And as there's more and more levels added, people are in awe, people are excited, people are helping expand. There's builders that you hire, there's people that are part of it that weren't in the very beginning. And the whole time, all these people that are excited about every floor that's going up, and there's businesses that are coming on every level, all these different projects that are coming on every level. But what most people don't realize is that the foundation was built off of lies, deceit. It's weak. And that's why my heart goes out to a lot of people who are just, sometimes people are like horses with blinders. You can't tell them anything that and they're just so fixated on that. This is it. This is the greatest thing ever next to Bitcoin. And again, I'm not talking down on Ethereum, because, I've got Bitcoin, I've got Ethereum. It's not, and so I'm not going to sit here and say that. But in the same aspect, I think the reality is going to hit. And it maybe the reality is hitting now. I think whenever someone's coming up with the truth, that first thing is denial. Shock and denial. You're like, wait a minute, this can't be. And it's like, I can't even imagine what people were thinking when CZ went on Twitter and said the things he said about FTX before it collapsed. I can't imagine what those holders and those people were thinking. Like, there's no way. Not the young Warren Buffett, not the guy who was just on the cover of Forbes. There's no way Sam Bankman-Fried. That denial.
Tom Brady owns it. It can't fail.
Yeah, Tom Brady, Shaquille O'Neal, Steph Curry. There's no way this is a joke. You guys are stupid, right? So, and then look what happened. And so it's that, like you said, that shock, that denial, and all those things that come after that. And then you look down and go, oh my God, between the documentary and the court case, and as all these things continue to unfold, you start realizing, my God, this foundation really is weak. It really was built off all the things Stephen Naroff was talking about. And the crazy thing, Rob, is all the answers are there. Just people don't choose to look at it.
Right.
Yeah. So that's unfortunate, but it's one of the real. So let me switch gears here. Where do you see, because I know a lot of people are talking about bull runs, bear runs. Obviously, we saw that pump come up, right before pre-halving. I always tell people things are the same until they're not. So now people are shocked. We have a little bit of a trace, but I will say that obviously people were thinking maybe we get over 50. We're kind of sitting around that 67,000. I think a lot of Bitcoin ETFs had a lot to do with that. But you have some people saying, hey, we could have a retracement. Hey, we could have a big recession. Hey, it could be a black swan. And one of the things I always said, Rob, is I thought the three things that would be devastating to this space, but probably needed for cleansing, would be Binance, them putting Binance on the table, which we saw how that worked out. It wasn't as bad as we thought. ETHgate, or the story behind Ethereum and the corruption behind that. And then the last thing is Tether. And I think that's probably the last of the Mohicans that's tied into all the things that's going over in China with that one company, $300 billion Evergrande. Yeah, China's calling the biggest corruption and the biggest dollar amount in corruption, bigger than Enron, bigger than FTX, bigger than anything else. And guess who's a big part of that as far as their dealings is Tether. And so I think that's, to me, the honey hole of what needs to be cleansed out before this market has a great reset. But let's talk about, where do you see crypto in the next 5 years, between now and let's say 2035, 5.5 years?
Well, I'll be the proverbial stalker, so I'll be in 100%. No matter where it goes, I'm in. Okay,
right. You and me
both. Yeah. I just see. Look, I believe this is going to provide a wealth redistribution, and wealth is going to flood the world over.
That's right.
In a much more righteous, judicial manner.
That's right.
And it's going to start now, and it's going to last the next 100 years. But I think it's going to get to the rightful hands of the creators. It ought to be, wealth ought to remain as close to the point of origin where it was created, because that's just the law.
Right.
The law is, if I build it, if I do the heart surgery, if I build the house, if I fix the dog, if I build the car, fix the car, the wealth ought to, it doesn't need to do 9 rim shots from here to the state, to the Washington, D.C., to the IRS in Puerto Rico and back to me. Right. That's ridiculous. The wealth ought to stay where the wealth is created.
That's right.
Okay. And that's going to happen.
That's right.
I'd say 70 to 80% of the world in the next 10 years is going to be extremely comfortable with digital assets. It's just going to become a protocol that's going to be enmeshed kind of in the everyday fabric of life.
Right.
Okay. It's going to just, I like to say, it's going to become as common as coffee.
That's right.
You're just going to have it. It's just going to be, we don't think about HTTPS. We don't think about Bluetooth.
Not at all.
We have the opportunity to own the protocol of HTTPS or the Bluetooth protocol. And we don't have to know it. We don't necessarily have to explain it. We just have to know it's necessary. It's there. It works, and everybody uses it.
That's
and
right.
It facilitates the most powerful medium in the world, and that is communications around the world.
I agree.
We're barely 12 months into an X platform where we can talk about anything we want without censorship.
Right.
A year in our life. Think about that. The year of all the time you and I have been sucking oxygen, there's been a year, maybe tops, where we can speak freely the world over about any topic we want to.
Yeah, I agree.
I thought we were supposed to have unalienable rights to free speech. But, I just think that it is going to change humans. If people could think of the world as one big Etsy store, and anybody can buy anything from anybody, and your peso can become $1, can become a mark, can become a franc, can become a piece of a Bitcoin, can become a whatever. And in 3 seconds or 5 seconds, the ledgering that can be done and atomically settled, and the record of property rights is journaled, and it's on the blockchain. Every 10 minutes, it's hashed, and it's there for 1,000 years.
Yeah.
You have an immutable record of truth and an instantaneous atomic settlement for us transferring value from point A to point B.
Right.
And if people understood that the ledger is like a windshield wiper, one big windshield wiper. Every 3 to 5 seconds, it updates. It does one of these things. And a digital token, it represents the property rights of that gold coin or that piece of stock or that XRP. It ledgers, it changes hands. Right. It doesn't physically change hands, but it doesn't matter. The title, the digital representation of ownership changes hands. Settled. I mean, every time it swaps, no fat, no intermediary, no bureaucracy, no 8% fees. None of that happens. And the 2 billion or so that are unbanked, they're in the game too.
That's right.
Everybody's in a game, and you don't need a banker. You got a 7-year-old Android phone and an internet connection. You're in the game.
That's right.
You got a wallet. You're in the game.
That's right.
And nobody's left out. The money laundering stops. Jay, think about this. Who funds the 10,000 or so NGOs around the world when you have peer-to-peer money like that goes back and forth, person to person, and doesn't go through all these bloated bureaucracies with all this fat and all of this extraction for ulterior purposes? If you got I think we're going to talk a little bit about CBDCs, but I like to define a central bank as the primary financial institution in a country.
Right.
For us, that ought to be a treasury.
Right.
Not a Federal Reserve.
Right.
Okay. England ought to have a bank, and Brazil ought to have a bank, and Japan ought to have a bank.
Absolutely.
But I don't think they need to be a part of this cartel known as the Bank for International Settlements.
Yeah.
I don't think they need to be a part of the Rothschild-Rockefeller cartel,
right,
which is a privately owned, non-governmental organization that's for profit and not for the best interest of mankind.
No, absolutely. I agree with you wholeheartedly. Big time.
So we should have 195 central banks, aka treasuries, with asset-backed digital currencies and their own sovereign currencies managed by their own sovereign governments with accountability to the people that live in the sovereign nation.
Right.
So that's why I have a pet peeve over the term CBDC.
That's right.
I mean, I think it should be an ABCD. Asset-backed, ABDC, asset-backed digital currency, and interoperability, level playing field. But we're not, Jay, I don't see us going we're not passing the baton in the 100-meter relay and giving somebody else the next world reserve currency.
Absolutely.
And the fiat Federal Reserve dollar is not going to remain the fiat currency.
Right.
So we're going to compete on a level playing field.
I agree.
So where does the central bank digital currency play in that new era?
Yeah.
I don't see it.
Yeah, I agree. So what we're going to do real quick, guys, we're going to go over and show you guys a couple things before we continue. I got a few more questions from my friend, Rob Cunningham, who we're very excited and very honored to have on the show. First thing I'm going to do is have you guys go over to our Crypto4Life page. Guys, make sure you go over and check out all of our incredible content. It's filled with a bunch of amazing information, over 732 different lives, including this one here with my brother, my friend, Rob Cunningham. Make sure you hit the like, subscribe, and notification bell so you guys don't miss any of the valuable information. Now, what I want you to also do is go over to my friend Rob Cunningham's X page. Make sure you go over there, support him, follow him. You can see it up right here, Rob Cunningham. You can actually go to his link right here. If you click that link, it goes over to it says link tr.ee.
Yeah, if you click on that real quick, Linktree, what that does is it'll show you all of my properties.
Yeah, okay, I see it.
Rumble, it just gives you all my properties with one link, so it makes it a little easier than having to name them all off.
Cool show. X.com, Twitter, Rumble, greatest fraud ever. Tell me, you got so much stuff here. What is XRP? It's just, guys, make sure you guys go over and follow Rob, and just amazing individual. I'm really, really excited to have him on the show and continuously build our friendship and rapport in years to come. So with that being said, Rob, let's get into the next thing, which is you were at XRP Las Vegas last year. Is that correct?
Yep. Yes, sir.
Okay. as was I. And you know, for someone who's been on some of the biggest stages around the world and you know, spoke on those stages, for some reason it just was so surreal to see thousands and thousands of not just, you know, your regular Joe, which there were, you know, your everyday average Joe, but there were some really profound, very smart, from financial advisors to bankers to lawyers to celebrities to, I mean, and they were all there excited about what they, you know, understood and embraced with Ripple and XRP. Give me a little bit of what you saw and why you think it's important. And I don't want to sit here because I don't make any money off of getting people to XRP Las Vegas. But if you were to tell somebody why you think it's maybe a great thing, if they can afford to go, why should they go? And what was your experience with that?
Yeah, my experience was remarkable. I've been, you know, blessed to become friends with, you know, DAI and Brad Kimes and Jimmy Valley and Molly, and you know, they're all just really good friends of mine. You know, William Duvall, you know, good friend of mine, lives here near me, and you know, he went to XRP Vegas with his wife. If people don't know who that is, he's the lead singer for Alice in Chains. Yeah, you know, I mean, so you talk about an eclectic group of people that are smart and attorneys and bankers, and you know, Jimmy Valley was one of the most preeminent, you know, M&A attorneys in the United States at the top of his game.
Right.
To me, it's like XRP Vegas is like it's about the relational connect.
That's right.
Okay, it's almost like it's a Woodstock of its day.
Right.
And what it means is it just provides people that feel called or feel led. It's more than about making money. It's more about purpose. And there's a people that deeply in their soul understand that this is an inflection point in human history. Right. This is a change that is going to decouple the world from the bankers. Right. And all the wars are bankers' wars. Right. And all the wars concentrate and hoard all the wealth. And if it feels like we've been in a debt and a tax slave colony, it's because we've been in a debt and a tax slave colony.
That's right.
Right? So we're ending that era in plain sight. The people that go to this event, right, they deeply understand that that's where we are in history. And so when these folks get unthroned and these NGOs, you know, lose their funding and they stop micromanaging. Look, most people can understand if 195 leaders of 195 different nations could wave a magic wand and get the boot off their neck so they could manage and lead their own sovereign nation, would they prefer to have the boot on their neck or off their neck?
Yeah, I agree.
They'll all say take it off.
Yeah.
Well, the only way you take it off is you get rid of a world reserve currency in a privately owned bank that runs the world.
Yeah, I agree.
DLT gets rid of that top-down pyramid boot on your neck.
Yeah, I agree.
And when people understand that, then they'll understand maybe it's not a moon boy zealotry, you know, crazy conspiracy theory that we're all in on. It's about an inflection point in history that we're all in on.
Yeah, I agree. It's like, you know, it's the difference of saying, well, I've got a few Amazon packages, so I get it. Or you're you know, Amazon investor from afar and you just waiting for a quick return. Or saying, you know what, I'm an investor. I'm going to go to the corporate office and hang out with Jeff Bezos and all the other investors and really grasp what I'm investing in. And I think that's what I got from XRP Las Vegas last year. I felt so special to be a part of such a brilliant company and a brilliant opportunity ran by brilliant people. And when I looked around and saw all the quality of people, it wasn't like I had people there for, and I'm going to be facetious here because I don't want to name a project, but let's just say it was a coin called Shikaka coin. And you got these, you know, crazy people wearing, you know, tin hats and costumes and face paint and throwing beer. I mean, it's not that type of thing.
Burning dollar bills and screaming. And
and I say that almost with an analogy and being a little facetious and saying it's not one of those type of projects. It's not one of those rug pull type things. You just feel so special in the moment. And I remember looking at my wife going, my God, look what we've done. You know, because I've done some incredible things, but look what we've done. We got it right. We got it right. You know, so that's really what I took away from XRP Las Vegas and why I'm looking forward to it this year as well. Let's move on because I know we just went over an hour. Let's move on to your views on BRICS, Ripple, and the International Bank of Settlements. BIS.
Yeah. Well, again, I think if people understood the narratives that we've been fed our whole lives have basically been self-serving narratives for the issuers of the narrative, not for the receivers of the narrative, right?
Right. That's right.
There's a story behind every story. Well, we've been fed all of these boogeymen, bad people that we're supposed to be scared of. That's why we have to pay more in taxes and build up a big military, because the Russians are coming, or the Chinese are coming, or the Brazilians or Indian, whatever.
Right. Whatever. Right.
And so now when you've got this BRICS coalition, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, and now you got Saudi Arabia and you got the UAE and a lot of other folks. Now all of a sudden you have this entity that's worth in excess of, let's say, $45 trillion, bigger than the G7 nations that have been around for 110 years.
Yep.
Okay. A long time. Okay. Now we're told, be very afraid. Oh my God, we're going to lose the world reserve currency. We're not going to be able to walk around and export Mitch McConnell and Nancy Pelosi values around the world with our military anymore. We can't have that. Be very afraid of the BRICS nations. Well, look, what are the BRICS nations doing? They're getting away from, they're de-dollarizing. They want to get out of the consent that they've given that comes with using the world reserve currency and all the strings attached to it.
That's right.
So they're decoupling from that, decoupling from those regulations, creating gold-backed sound currencies and trading with one another in an open, transparent, sound money system, because these nations see that we're insolvent.
Right. That's right.
Okay. So what's wrong with the BRICS nations wanting to have a more honest trust system?
They try to make it. They're trying to make it so bad.
They're building a better system based not on lies, but based on transparency and soundness.
Yep.
Yet our media is trying to tell us, be afraid of the big bad BRICS.
Yep.
Right. Well, they're lying to us again.
Yep.
Again. So look, sooner or later, we're going to have gold-backed United States Treasury issued asset-based dollars, not debt-based currency.
Right.
And we're going to be a BRICS nation too.
It's inevitable.
Inevitable.
It's inevitable.
It's inevitable.
Yeah.
So we are, Jay, the book says we are destroyed by our lack of knowledge.
That's right. That's right.
And if we don't understand what's going on,
right,
we don't have we don't have a rudder and we don't have a sail on our boat. We're just out there drifting, and wherever the wind blows us is where we go.
That's right.
Whatever narrative they're selling, we're buying.
I think when it comes to BRICS and when it comes to crypto, our country here in the U.S. have done a very good job of trying to create a whole lot of fear about things that are really inevitable when you think about it.
Amen. Fear is a currency, and if you understand that fear is a currency, Jay, then you can go back and look at the law book 365 times, more than any other single admonition in the law book.
Right.
365 times it says, fear not.
What happens when you create enough fear? Well, guess what? You also become the solution to the issue that you created.
Hegelian dialectic, right? You create the problem, then you create the solution, and you become the hero.
Yeah, we create the problem, and we got the antidote, or we got the solution, or we got the stimulus, or whatever the heck it is.
We've seen that in the last 4 years, haven't we?
Exactly, big time. And I know you kind of shared a little thought on this. Last few questions here. How do you think, or what do you think of CBDCs, and how do you think they'll be implemented? Is it a good thing or a bad thing? Because you hear some people saying there's good and bad. Your take.
Well, again, I believe there's going to be a transition to instead of a multipolar world, level playing field, an ISO 20022 standard and a currency standard.
Absolutely.
And again, to have a CBDC assumes that you have a central bank. I don't buy into the assumption that under the current definitions of the Bank of International Settlements, which is the central bank of all central banks, built on Rothschild, Rockefeller, Jekyll Island protocols,
right?
That's not going to remain in place. So to continue to say in 5 years or 10 years we're still going to have a bunch of central banks,
right?
I think we're going to have central government treasuries,
right?
Okay, not central. The term has baggage, and I don't like the baggage. So, are we going to have all the major national currencies are going to have to be able to interoperate. There's going to have to be trading pairs. We're going to have a TED spread. We're going to have the Chinese U.S. dollar pairing, the Japanese yen to China's yuan pairing.
Right.
The German mark to the Norwegian kroner. We're going to have these pairs, but guess what architectural system I think they'll trade on? I mean, liquidity is what makes the world. Markets have to have liquidity.
Right.
The architecture that's being built by RippleNet on top of the XRPL are creating these liquidity pairs and liquidity rails to work the world over safely, securely, instantaneously, and cheaply and transparently.
Right.
Okay. The fact that Ripple is going to exist ultimately to make that happen,
right,
by design, means we don't need one of these big Goliath institutions that eats up 8 or 9 or 10 or 15%, and it causes this fat and friction right in the middle of every transaction. There's no necessity for it.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, wholeheartedly.
So when and how and at what pace will these things kind of wither on the vine? And I mean, I just think all of a sudden you're going to have these central banks and they're going to look like an old Western movie, with everybody's gone and the tumbleweeds just blowing down the middle of the dirt road. They're not even there anymore.
Right. Right.
All things being equal, if a country's got to move $100 million or $100 billion from point A to point B, and they can do it for less versus more, they're going to choose less.
I agree. No, I agree with you big time. I guess my next question, as we come to an end here, is obviously we see Ripple prevailing. We see this thing coming to a close. Do you think that the latest news with the SEC being found to lie in court, to do things with a certain agenda, the court saying things like their characters being questioned and so forth, do you think those things actually help Ripple, or does it not really matter as far as as the thing close out? And do you think it's being especially with Ethereum, do you think this is being done now to kind of take because it seems like every time something great happens for XRP, the Hemming emails come out. Then they name all these assets, securities. Judge Annalisa Torres, July 13th, 2023, ruling comes out that XRP is not a security. Then they file a lawsuit against Coinbase and Binance. It always seems like every time something great happens for XRP, there's this dark cloud that they try to create and put people's attention over this, so it's not that big of a deal. It's almost like they take the spark out of all the victories that Ripple's been getting. Do you think this whole thing with ETH is, and the timing of it, is another way of saying, okay, hey, yeah, we're coming to a close, maybe we settle, maybe they win, but hey, we're gonna this is not over. Some type of a way of taking the light off of the big victory that's coming with XRP and SEC.
Yeah, Jay, what you just described is a narrative war.
Yeah.
And that's what we're in. Who's telling the truth and who's lying?
That's right.
Who has the microphone? Who controls fake news? Mm-hmm. Who's telling us the truth? Who's showing us honor and respect and truth, and who's not? Right. Okay. So I believe in the court of public opinion at an absolute minimum. This is defiling the SEC and those that are behind the SEC. Jimmy Valley's been putting out some great quality work here lately in the last few days, talking about how, it looks like the statutes of limitations are going to be ending on a lot of these things. Right. Even the ICO and the fraud that might have happened in 2014, 15, 7-year statute of limitation, it's tolled out. Right. Okay. So the only thing that you can't toll out on is treason.
Yeah.
The other thing you can't toll out on is we the people scorned, who hate you and don't trust you and will never use you again. If the American people divorce themselves from you, then it's game over. It doesn't matter what the judge ruling happens to be. If people, want this agency, look, we got 6 months to an election, 7 months, something like that. I mean, we're about to see some of the most Hail Mary, crazy, last minute, straw man, false flags, you name it, kind of spooky, scary, oh my God, look over here, not over there. these narcissistic control freaks that have been running our lives in debt and tax slavery for 110 years are not going to go gently in the night.
No, I
They're
agree.
not going to act like a gentleman and tip their king over and say, no, checkmate, you got me. Not
Right.
stand up and shake hands.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're going to be more towards the crack addict that's got his arm around his girlfriend's head with a gun to it, says, if I can't have her, no one can.
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
Right. That's more. They're not going to just politely let the new guard and the new monetary system take out their monopoly.
Yeah.
And that's why we're seeing every time there's a little spark of light, they try to put it out.
Yeah.
Okay. Because they do control. You got the centralization matrix apparatus with 5 corporations control 90% of the megaphones. All of the media, from websites to movie production studios to news to newspapers to magazines to the storytellers and the 5 companies that are all part of Davos and the big 5, they control it all. Yep. And so the average person that wants to come and find the truth, Jay, they don't know that. I Googled it and couldn't find anything. They don't know how to go to a doctor specialist or a crypto specialist or banking specialist or any kind of specialist to get anything other than pre-baked, approved cartel news.
I agree.
And unfortunately, a lot of people, Jay, they don't even have a single friend that can tell them, hey, I think we're being lied to. You need to go check out X, Y, and Z over here.
That's right.
And they're not bad people. They have just been poorly disrespected and misled.
That's right.
Okay. So we have to have some compassion for them. I'm just going to tell you, Jay, I think guys like you and me and Molly and Zach and everybody else, in a year, 2 years from now, we're going to be busy.
Yeah.
People might be going, Jay, hey, time for some coffee. You told me something like 4 years ago. Can we sit down? They're going to want 9 hours of your time.
Yeah, I agree.
Who told you, Jay?
Yeah.
They're going to want to come after you.
Yeah.
And it's going to be. We're going to be in bigger demand, and it's going to be an honor to be able to tell people the truth.
Yeah.
And serve our fellow man and explain to them the whole story, and this is what happened. This is where we're going. And the good news is a lot of that apparatus is going to fall by the wayside. It's going to die on the vine. Mm-hmm. The stuff that's been built on sand is going to fall, and we're rebuilding on rock, on a foundation that's solid rock,
Yeah, I agree with you. And before I ask your final question here, I want to shout out to everyone who supported myself and Rob on this amazing live stream. One Mullet, thank you very much for being here. Iron Man says, true, you got a lot of guys loving you in here, Rob. Baller Not One, Riddle Me Jay, you've got Jose Velasquez, Devon Steve, Iron Man. I love that comment. Says there shouldn't be a statute of limitations on corruption. I agree with you, bro, on that, brother. We've got Bullish Big D, Slippery Pickle, Marvin Davis. Appreciate all you guys that are here. Crypto Navigator, I can't read all the names, but my last question for you is your final thoughts, brother, that you want to leave everybody with on maybe what's going on, maybe how they should prepare, maybe, maybe patience, whatever it is, your final thoughts to everyone that's listening, which is about almost 700 people right now live.
Wow, that's awesome, man. I would say faith is everything, and it's deeply personal, but laws, Jay, are indestructible. You cannot destroy truth. 1 + 1 is 2. Gravity is real. Lift, weight, thrust, drag, heat is hot. Math is math. There's a difference between trust and truth. You can misplace your trust with others and they can lie, cheat, steal, deceive, divide, destroy. Okay? But you cannot lie away 1 + 1 = 2.
That's right.
You just can't do it. So if we're right, and if we have trust, if we have law, the laws of ones and zeros, algorithms, math, tokenization, cryptography, atomic settlement, cutting the 8% down to less than a penny.
Right.
Okay. If we have the infrastructure, the vision, and the laws and the math on our side, there is nothing that can stop what is coming.
That's right.
And so patience then becomes a personal discipline thing. It becomes, what is it that I care about most? And what happens if it goes to 10 and then it goes back to 6 and then it goes to 11 and you know what? I'm just sick of this.
Right.
I don't care if it's going to 14,000.
Right. That's right.
Well, your great grandkids might.
Right. That's right. That's right.
You know, and if it can get to 100, and then you can start borrowing on it, or you can stake it, you know, and you can stake 10%, and all of a sudden you're making 42,000 a month by staking, and you never sold a one.
And huge. That's going to be absolutely incredible. A lot of people may not even stick around long enough to see it.
Sign me up for staking, brother. So I borrow again. And guess what? What's the income tax when you borrow money from yourself?
Hey, you know what? And you know, you know what's so crazy is that when you think about, you know, the supply versus demand at that point where that flip of the light switch moment happens, your XRP will be invaluable.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely exciting. But you know, before I get you out of here, guy, Rob, let me go over to your guys. Go over and follow my brother, Rob Cunningham. Again, go to his X page. This guy is phenomenal. I love what he stands for, his background, and just his brilliance. So make sure you go over to his X page. And also, let me go over here to this. Let me stop the screen here, and then go over and share this part here, which I don't think I got to last time, which is boom right there. Rob Cunningham, you guys can see all the platforms that you can follow him on, connect with him on, interact with him on. Phenomenal guy, brilliant guy. Make sure you do me a favor and follow my brother, Rob Cunningham. Rob, I appreciate you, my friend. Definitely got a lot of love for you, brother, and hope to collaborate with you on many other things in the near future.
Jay, man, I'm honored that you invited me on, brother. Really, I can't wait to see you in Vegas. You know, I know you'll be there, and the Bagman crew and all those guys will be awesome. So, and John Deaton will be there, and Brad Garlinghouse will be. I mean, really, it's our Woodstock, man, and I love it. I'm grateful to be on your show with you, man. You're doing great work.
Thank you, brother.
Tell your wife thank you for me.
Oh, man, I sure will. And that means a lot coming from you guys. Make sure you go over to our Crypto4Life page, hit the like, subscribe, and notification bell so you don't miss any of the valuable information that we do every single day. Rob, I appreciate you, brother. To everyone that's here, thank you guys so much. And until next time, we'll see you guys later. Peace.
Take care.
Bye-bye.